Rev up your engines! The Toyota Sequoia is the biggest thing that Toyota makes, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the best vehicle of this size that you can buy, with one exception. And the exception is the Toyota Sequoia itself. 2022 on, they got rid of the V8s. This is the 21, the last of the great V8s, right? They replaced it with a twin-turbo V6. Yeah, the twin-turbo V6 of Toyota's replacing 100,000 of those engines. Well, they say they are. Who knows what's actually going to happen? Now, the guy just bought this, used for $45,000. He wanted the V8. He did not want the V6 twin-turbo. And that's the problem today with buying a good Toyota Sequoia. As far as I'm concerned, you can't buy a good one. They don't sell the new ones with V8s in them. You gotta buy used. And used ones are so hard to find. This guy lives in Kansas City. This was the only Sequoia he could find for sale with a V8 engine in all of Kansas City. It's a pretty big place. Now this one is loaded. He paid $45 used, knew it was like $65. And now if you want a loaded one, they're like $85,000. So 45 grand is looking better and better. Now, let's hope he didn't make a mistake, because he just went out and bought it. Then he brought it here all the way from Kansas City to Clarksville, Tennessee, so I can see if it's in good shape. Normally they're in excellent shape, but they could be wrecked, flooded, stolen. Who knows, right? We're gonna go through the whole thing. But if you're looking for a vehicle like this, that's why they're called Sequoia, like the giant trees, right? Compare them to GMC. GMC stuff's garbage. The trannies, the engines blow up. Fords, same thing. Compared to the Jeep Wagoneer, those are rolling piles of crap that cost even more than these things do, which is ridiculous. Why would you pay that kind of money just for the name Jeep? Now, I know a lot of people now are whining about, oh, Toyota's lost their quality. This is built in 2021. It does not have a loss in quality from any of the ones that I've seen. Now, as you can see, yeah, unfortunately, it's not made in Japan, but check it out. It's made in Indiana. They've been making these V8 engines there a long time. Toyota started making the Tundra V8 engines there in May 1999. They do a pretty good job in Indiana. And these, I haven't seen any particular problems from ones made in Indiana. Yeah, I'd rather have a Japanese vehicle made in Japan, I admit it, but the Hoosiers seem to do a pretty good job putting them together. Now this guy did what I never advised, rushing out buying something without having a mechanic check it out. But hey, so let's see. Has it been really smashed? Let's see. We got 5 fingers on the right front. We got 5 fingers on the left front. So the car hasn't been crushed and moved one side or the other in the front. Okay, there's 4 fingers on the left. And we go to the other side. 4 fingers again. So it hasn't been squashed in that way either. Oh no, look, the little plastic cover that covers up the bolt for the rear wiper is gone. He shouldn't have bought it. That's a plastic piece that just snaps on. Now, this is a loaded vehicle. And as we look in the back, there's the spare tire. Full-size spare tire. There's the rear differential, the rear wheel drive portion. There is the very fancy air suspension. Now, the air suspension gives these Toyotas a very good ride. Yes, when they do break down, they cost a small fortune to fix. There's no arguing that. They don't break down all that often, and in the case of this one, the vehicle is 4 years old, but let's see what kind of mileage it has on it. It's only got 66,000 miles on it. The interior's in excellent shape. As we look in the back, tons of room. You got all your controls here for the people in the second row seat, and we'll check the back. Okay, he's got the back seats down for carrying stuff for a trip. But when you flip these up, then you got back seats. They still got nice little panels here. They got air conditioning and heat on the top. Of course, for Americans who may end up having only thumbs, you don't even have to pull on the gate. It pulls itself up and down. And obviously that's still working. Very fancy stereo system, adjustable seats. And they didn't go ape with the transmission. This isn't one of those crazy 10-speed automatics. It's a 6-speed automatic, and they're extremely dependable. You take their competition like the Ford Expeditions, even the smaller Ford Explorers. I had a guy bring me one the other day, 65,000 miles. That 10-speed tranny blew up and had to be replaced. He was very lucky because he bought it as a used vehicle, and he bought an extended warranty. And like about 500 miles before the warranty went out, the tranny did, and he got a new transmission put in. Now, that stuff doesn't happen with these Sequoias. They're very good transmissions. They don't have the racing stuff. We'll start it up and show you. But Most people are just going to drive this thing and drive. But if you want, you can put it in manual. And then, as you can see down here at the S1, you can shift the gears up and down using this, okay? They don't have paddle shifters. This isn't a racing car. And most people, they're not going to do it manually. They're just going to put it and drive and drive. Nah, it's 2021, so it doesn't have a key, unfortunately. But at least it has a real parking brake. You can see it says park. It's not one of those electronic crappers. It is one you step on, put on, and then when you release it, it releases. Not this electronic horse maneuver. Granted, the Toyota electronic parking systems are relatively bulletproof. I've yet to see one break down yet, but in most manufacturers, those electronic parking brakes get affected by the salt in the winter. Then they corrode and it costs you a fortune to fix the stupid parking brake, right? Instead of just this, which you step on a pedal that pulls a cable, and then when you release it, it releases the cable. You could have it in two-wheel drive like he did to maximize your gas mileage. Four-wheel high. Four-wheel low has a good safety feature. You have to really shove this in hard. It's a lockout to get it into four-wheel low, because you don't want to drive that far in four-wheel drive low. Most people, hey, they're just going to put it in two-wheel drive and they're going to leave it there. Now, a lot of you techie guys are going to whine at the screen. It's too small. Hey, it's integrated to the car. I would rather have that than some big, ugly, boxy rectangle sticking up. It's got climate control, the front and the back, and it has heated and air-conditioned seats in the front, left and right. If you have heavy weights in the back, you can raise or lower the rear end with the air suspension. And when you're towing, you can put it in the tow haul mode. And if you're forgetting what you've done, well, let's look at the dash. Here we go. It's showing that it's high now, so let's lower it a little. That's neutral, and that's lower. So you got various things. I kind of like the neutral, so let's put it in neutral there. Now it's in the middle where it normally is going to be. But he just bought the thing used, didn't have it checked out, so let's get my machine and hope he bought a good one. We'll push the engine start button just so the idiot lights are on. Then we'll turn the old scan tool on. And you can see these things are pretty much gas hogs. Hey, that's just how it goes. 16.2 miles per gallon. That's going 75 miles an hour from Kansas City to Clarksville, Tennessee. We're already detected it, so we'll go to the vehicle. We know it is a Toyota Sequoia. We'll do a standalone diagnosis. See, it's already read the VIN. That was fast. Now, here's an interesting thing. Look, it says it won't decode the VIN. Now, the owner bought the Sea-Dog Elite that I talked about, and he said it wouldn't connect. Well, my fancy one's not connecting either. So, first thing, I took a picture of the VIN number with my phone, and we'll see if it's the same or not the same. And lo and behold, the VIN number on the car that I took a picture of it is the same as the one here. So something's funky here. Type it in, it does the same thing. So let's try the model number. We'll go to Toyota. We know it is a 2021 Sequoia. It is a 2021. It is radar cruise. All right. Now we'll see what happens. And more time than normal, but it's showing a topology scan. So while it's scanning, we'll look around. It's got the obligatory sunroof. It's got a DVD player for the kids. Seats are in excellent shape. Dash is good. It's not sticky or any problems. It's done. It's only found 2 trouble codes, so let's see what they are. We got Smart Key. They often have problems as they age. It'll often say like startability, which is just a BS code. Means the battery went flat. Wireless door lock tuner circuit. Well, let's see something. Turn it off. We'll go outside, see if it works. We'll lock the door. It's locked. Definitely locked. Let's push the open button. Made a noise. Well, certainly working now. Now, sometimes, if it's icy outside, if something sticks, it might trip a code. Or a weak battery, so we'll just erase this code for the time being. See if anything comes back after we road test it. Check the other code. Air suspension. They often get wacky codes. Continuous current to exhaust solenoid. Well, at some point in time, it kept sending electricity to the exhaust solenoid, opening it up. Now, if it really had a serious problem, it would sink down. You can see. It hasn't sunk down, right? That definitely hasn't sunk down either. So let's try something. We'll start her up. We'll go to that system. Now we're pushing it on low. Okay, so now it's on low, and if we put it on the inside of the tire here, right there on the ridge, and we're here to high. Now it's high, and here it's humming. Pump's working, so it looks like it's going higher. And as you can see, we'll go on the same place, and it's much higher, so it's working. To erase that stupid code too, we got to turn the engine off though. Put the ignition on, yes. And away we go. Minor BS, those computer systems can often give weird warning systems. Maybe ice got in the system in the winter, I don't know. Go to the ECM live data. Here we go. Didn't have any codes or anything, but we'll see what kind of shape it's in. Live data. Remember, black is good, red is bad. Mass airflow sensor, that's normal, stable like it should be. Shouldn't vacillate up and down. We'll look at the rest of the stuff. Battery voltage is 13.46. Check it out. Short-term and long-term fuel trim is 0%. This thing is running perfectly. Now, it's got 66,000 miles, something like that on it, but hey, the fact that it's absolutely perfect is insane. Shows how well made these are. That's why you want a V8 in one of these things. Now we'll go through the rest of the stuff. Got a bunch of cats. You can see the cat temperatures are all the same. That's what you want. It means it's all running exactly the same, the left bank and the right bank of the V8 engine. How many grams per second the fuel system's using? It's pretty cool. Even shows you the engine exhaust flow rate, so you can tell. If the flow rate starts going down because the catalytic converters are clogged, this will show you. You don't have to go out, take apart the oxygen sensors, air-fuel ratio sensors, put a gauge on, analyze that. It's all done on the computer. Somebody disconnected the battery cable 30,732 kilometers ago, so I'm assuming the battery's been changed. We'll look at that before we take off for a ride. And a lot of those codes could have tripped because of that. Notice everything's black. Gives you all the variable valve timing information, intake, exhaust. Typical Toyota, the misfire counts all 8-0 across the board. Things in excellent shape. Now the battery is 4 years old if it's still the original one, so let's take a look at that baby. And as we look under, voila, the battery has recently been changed, 12 of 24, which is like 2 months ago. That explains the battery disconnect all those kilometers ago because the battery was changed. They only last so long. Even the Toyota battery. So this battery probably lasted 3 years. They used to last 5, 6, 7 years. All the batteries are cheaper made than they used to be. There's no arguing that. So let's take it for a spin. Start her up. Start right up. Put it in reverse. And it's got a regular backup camera. Nothing fancy. Well, you got to take the brake off because it's down there. It's an actual foot one. But, you know, I'd expect more from this kind of money. I'd want a better camera than this. I'd want the side views and all that stuff. First thing you notice is the smooth idle of a V8. And we're nice and high up in the air, right? You're not going to get stuck. It's a heavy vehicle too. It tracks good in the snow. Just realize gas mileage isn't its forte. As you can see, that's 16.1 miles a gallon. That was mainly driving 75 miles an hour from Kansas City to Clarksville, Tennessee when he drove it here. So that's the best you're going to get in one of these things. Sad but true, but the V6s don't get much better gas mileage in the real world. Most turbocharged cars actually get worse because you step on the gas, the engine revs up as the turbo kicks in, and there goes your gas mileage. Right, smooth ride. I've got it on normal ride. We could put it on sport if we wanted, but hey, the normal's pretty good. And if you really like a cushy ride, hey, just flip it down to comfort mode down here. But hey, we're gonna drive it somewhat fast, so let's put it back in sport mode. There we go. We'll look behind us. So far I don't see anybody behind us, but slow down a little just to see. And there's nobody behind us, so we're gonna stop. And now we're gonna take off. Here we go. Woo! Everything flies to the back. Listen to that V8 engine. You can hear it. You can hear that nice sound, even though it's all muffled. It still makes a nice sound. No problem. And say you want to pass somebody, look, we'll floor it. There it goes. You can pass as much as you want. Of course, your gas mileage, now it's down to 15.9, just stepping on that. Hey, you feel like you're the king of the world. It was right up there with that big GM truck that just drove by. But these are comfortable. You can fit a lot of people. Now, you hear noises, but that's because He's got a lot of stuff in here. You heard it fly to the back when I took off. Like an old boat, you know? Bat in the hatch of Scotty's driving. Things are gonna fly everywhere. He got lucky to some extent, because he didn't check it out with the mechanic beforehand, but like I said, it was the only one he could even find in Kansas City, so he quickly bought it. The thing about these is, it's only got 66,852 miles on it. Hey, if you're talking about the equivalent American vehicles, yeah, they'll all probably be running pretty good at that. But this thing, it'll probably be running this way with 366,000 miles on it, where Jeep products will be falling apart, the GMs will be falling apart, the Fords will be falling apart. Let me tell you, I've been working on cars for 57 years. I'll tell you the truth. The American stuff doesn't hold up like these do. It just doesn't. And when you see what the price is these days, hey, you're paying just as much, if not more, for the American stuff than you are for the Sequoia. That said, I would not buy the V6 Sequoia, which is all they offer now. This is the last one that they made with the V8, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the last of the great Sequoias, unless they go back to the V8s. Dumb to get rid of them. Look what happened with the Tundras. They got rid of them, and the V6 engines are blowing up. Even though it's tall, high up in the air, it still corners quite nimbly with that air suspension system. Yeah, it's complex, but it sure makes them ride nice. And I have it on the normal one now. I switched it back to normal from sport. Tranny, hey, you can barely feel it shift. It is so smooth. There's no sense putting 10-speed transmissions in. It's been proven. That's too many gears. They have too many problems. You take those Expeditions, Explorers with those 10-speed automatics. A lot of them break. The last of the great, the V8s, the last Sequoia I would think about personally buying. I don't like those turbo V6s. Still runs like a charm. Everything on it still works perfectly fine. Great for someone who wants a vehicle this size to carry a bunch of people. Yeah, the best you're going to get is like 16 miles a gallon on a highway. They're all that way when they're this big. The problem with these is that, yeah, the gas mileage is low, but they can last forever. Do you want to buy an American version of one of these? Then when it falls apart, and maybe it gets 3 or 4 miles a gallon better gas mileage, then you got to buy another one for $80,000. Well, hey, I stick with this V8. Unfortunately, Toyota didn't. And guess what? It's going to bite them in the rear end. It already has in the Tundras, where they went from the V8s to the turbo V6s. Big mistake, Toyota. But hey, what can you do? Big corporations, many of them, dead from the neck up. Go back to when you were really making them great, like this one. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.